Oh Lord, my light not even on. Hair is looking wild, y'all. I am off my ball game today. Not even gonna lie. There was a lot. I didn't even put my lotion on. It's 11:14. I'm about to break my promise with the Lord. I can't do that. So unfortunately I had to speed through this reading so I can keep my promise, which I don't know if that's what he would want me to do. I think it's more important that I get this information, but I feel so inclined to keep my promise. But I feel so inclined, why I didn't do it earlier? I was too busy in a bath. And then before I knew it, it was 11 o'clock. I was just taking a bubble bath. But I have to keep my promise. So we'll be reading chapters 9 through 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. The Gibeonite deception. As soon as all the kings who were beyond the Jordan in the hill country, in the lowland, all along the coast of the Great Sea, toward Lebanon, the Hittites, the Amorites, the Canaanites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, the Jebusites heard of this. They gathered together as one to fight against Joshua and Israel. But when the inhabitants of Gibeon heard what Joshua had done to Jericho and to Ai, they were on their part acted with cunning, and they went and made ready provisions, and took worn out sacks for their donkeys and wineskins, and worn out and torn and mended with worn out patched sandals on their feet, and worn out clothes. All their provisions were dry and crumbly. They went to Joshua in the camp of Gilgal, and said to him and the men of Israel, We have come from a distant country, so now make a covenant with us. But the men of Israel said to the Hivites, Perhaps you live among us. Then how can we make a covenant with you? They said to Joshua, We are your servants. And Joshua said to them, Who are you? And where do you come from? And they said, From a distant country your servants have come, because of the name of the Lord your God. For we have heard a report of him, and all that he had done in Egypt, and all that he did to the kings of the Amorites who were beyond the Jordan. So they're trying to get in. They're trying to get in where they fit in. To Sihon, the king of Heshbon, to Og, king of Bashan, who lived in Ashtaroth. So our elders and all the inhabitants of the country said to us, Take provisions in your hand for the journey, and go to meet them, and say to them, We are your servants. Come now, make a covenant with us. Here is our bread. It was still warm when we took it from our houses as our food for the journey on the day we set out to come to you. But now, behold, it is dry and crumbly. These wineskins were new when we filled them. Behold, they have burst, and they are garments. Sandals of ours are worn out from the very long journey. So the men took some of these provisions, but they did not ask counsel from the Lord. Oh, this is something that I kind of just did. I didn't ask counsel from the Lord. Father, please forgive me for my, I don't even know what to call it. And Joshua made peace with them and made a covenant with them to let them live. And the elders of the congregation swore to them. At the end of the 3 days after they had made a covenant with them, they heard that they were their neighbors, and they lived among them. And the people of Israel set out and reached their cities on the 3rd day. Now their cities were Gibeon, Shephirah, Beroth, and Kirath Jearim. But the people of Israel did not attack them, because the leaders of the congregation had sworn to them by the Lord, the God of Israel. Then all the congregation murmured against the leaders. But all the leaders said to the congregation, We have sworn to them by the Lord, the God of Israel, and now we may not touch them. Jesus. This we will do to them. Let them live, lest wrath be upon us, because of the oath that we swore to them. And the leaders said to them, Let them live. So they became cutters of wood and jars of water for all the congregation, just as the leaders had said to them. Joshua summoned them, and he said to them, "Why did you deceive us, saying, 'We are very far from you,' when you dwell among us? Now therefore you are cursed, and some of you shall never be anything but servants, cutters of wood, and drawers of water for the house of my God." Then Joshua, oh my God, time is running out and I'm getting scared. Then then they answered Joshua, because it was told to your servants for a certainty that the Lord our God had commanded his servants Moses to give you all the land, to destroy all the inhabitants of the land before you, not some, but all. So we feared greatly for our lives because of you, and did this thing. And now behold, we are in your hand. Whatever seems good and right in your sight to do to us, do it. So he did this to them and delivered them out of the hand of the people of Israel. And they did not kill them. But Joshua made them that day cutters of wood and jars of water in the congregation, and for the altar of the Lord to this day, in a place that he should choose. When I tell you the Lord is on time, I did something, and I continuously do things without his permission. And I'm getting tired of me. I'm really getting tired of me. I'm gonna keep reading. The sun stands still, chapter 10. As soon as the Adonai-Zedek, king of Jerusalem, heard how Joshua had captured Ai and devoted it to destruction, doing to Ai and its king as he did to Jericho and its king, and how the inhabitants of Gibeon had made peace with the people of Israel and were among them, he feared greatly, because Gibeon was a great city, like one of the royal cities, and because it was greater than Ai, and all its men were warriors. So Adonai-Zedek, king of Israel, sent to Hoham, king of Hebron, to Paran, king of Jarmuth, to Japhai, king of Lachish, and to Debir, king of Eglon, saying, I ain't never read this. Come up to me and help me, and let us strike down Gibeon, for it has made peace with Joshua and the people of Israel. Then the 5 kings of the Amorites, the king of Jerusalem, which the Lord might let this happen because they didn't get permission from the Lord. The king of Hebron, the king of Jarmuth, the king of Lachech, I don't know, and the king of Eglon gathered their forces and went up with all their armies and encamped against Gibeon and made war against it. And the men of Gibeon sent to Joshua at the camp of Gilgal, saying, Do not relax your hand from your servants. Come up to us as quickly and save us and help us, for all the kings of the Amorites who dwell in this country, in this hill country, are gathered against us. So Joshua went up. So now they have a war. War created for disobedience. Oh, Father, please. And here I am asking the Lord to protect me. I feel bad asking the Lord to protect me after doing something without his consent. Joshua came into the camp in Gilgal, saying, Do not relax your hand from your servants. Come up to us quickly and save us and help us, for all the kings of the Amorites who dwell in the hill country are gathered against us. So Joshua went up to Gilgal, he and all the people of war with him, and all the mighty men of valor. The Lord said to Joshua, Do not fear them, for I have given them into your hands. Oh, never mind. Well, no, it still makes me feel bad that I do that. So Lord, please protect me. How you protected them. Because Jesus. So Joshua came upon them suddenly, having marched up all night of Gilgal, and the Lord threw them into a panic before Israel, who struck them with great blow at Gibeon, and chased them by the way of the ascent of Beth-horon, and struck them as far as Azekah and Makkedah. And as they fled before Israel, while they were going down the ascent of Beth-horon, the Lord threw down large stones from the heaven on them as far as Azekah, and they died. There were more who died because of hailstones than the sons of Israel killed with the sword. At the time Joshua spoke to the Lord in the day when the Lord gave the Amorites over to the sons of Israel, and He said inside of the Lord, he said inside of Israel, sun, stand still at Gibeon, and moon in the valley of Ajalon. The sun stood still and the moon stopped until the nation took vengeance on their enemies. Lord, please protect me from myself and my foolishness. Because that's literally what it is, doing something without the Lord's permission. Is this not written in the book of Jashar? The sun stopped in the midst of heaven and did not hurry to set for about a whole day. There has been no day like it before and since, when the Lord heeded the voice of a man, for the Lord fought for Israel. So Joshua returned and all Israel with him to the camp of Gilgal. 5 Amorite kings executed. The 5 kings fled themselves at the cave of Makeda. And it was told to Joshua, the 5 kings have been found hidden in the cave of Makeda. And Joshua said, roll large stones against the mouth of the cave and set men by it to guard them, but do not stay there yourselves. Pursue your enemies, attack their rear guard. Do not let them enter their cities, for the Lord your God has given them into your hand. When Joshua and the sons of Israel had finished striking them with a great blow until they were wiped out, and they were remnant that remained of them. And when the remnant that remained of them had entered into the fortified cities, and all the people returned safe to Joshua in the camp of Makeda, not a man moved his tongue against any of the people of Israel. Then Joshua opened his mouth to the cave and then Joshua said, open the mouth of the cave and bring those 5 kings out from me to the cave. They did so and brought the 5 kings out to him from the cave. The king of Jerusalem, the king of Hebron, the king of Jarmuth, the king of Lachish, the king of Eglon. And when they brought these kings out to Joshua, Joshua summoned all the men of Israel and said to the chiefs of these men of war who are going with them, come near, put your feet on the necks of the kings. Then they came near and put their feet on their necks. And Joshua said to them, do not be afraid or dismayed. Be strong and courageous, for this... Is this where we get that saying, I'm standing on their necks? Do not be afraid or dismayed. Be strong and courageous, as the Lord will do to all your enemies against whom you fight. And after Joshua struck them and put them to death, and he hanged them on 5 trees. And they hung on the trees until evening. But at the time of the going down, the sun Joshua commanded, they took them down from the trees and threw them into the cave where they had hidden themselves. And they set large stones against the mouth of the cave, which remain to this very day. As for Makeda, Joshua captured it on the day and struck it and its king with the edge of the sword. He devoted to destruction every person in it. He left none remaining. And he did to the king of Makeda just as he done to the king of Jericho, conquest of southern Canaan. Then Joshua and all of Israel with him passed on from Makeda and Libnah and fought against Libnah. And the Lord gave it also and its king into the hand of Israel. And he struck it with the edge of the sword and every person in it. He left none remaining in it. And he did to the king as he did to the king of Jericho. Then Joshua and all of Israel with him passed on from Libnah to Lachish. This one gonna get me. And laid siege to it and fought against it. But the Lord gave Lachish into the hand of Israel, and he captured it on the 2nd day and struck it with the edge of the sword and every person in it he had done to Libnah, as he had done to Libnah. Then Hiram, king of Gezer, came up to help Lachish, and Joshua struck him and his people until none was remaining. You came and tried to work against the Lord, and now you're dead. Then Joshua and all Israel with him passed on from Lachish to Eglon. And they laid siege to it and fought against it. And they captured it on the day and struck it with the edge of the sword. And he devoted every person in it to destruction that day, as he had done to Lachish. Then Joshua and all of Israel Then Joshua and all Israel with him went up to Eglon, to Hebron. They fought against it and captured it and struck it with the edge of the sword and its kings and its towns and every person in it. He left none remaining, as he had done to Eglon, and devoted it to destruction and every person in it. Then Joshua and all of Israel with him turned back to Debir, and fought against it, and he captured it with the king and all its towns. And they struck them with the edge of the sword, devoted to destruction every person in it. He left none remaining, just as he did to Hebron, and to Libnah and its king. So he did to Debir and to its king. Joshua struck the whole land, the hill country of the Negev, and the lowland, and the slopes, and all their kings. He left none remaining, but devoted the destruction all that breathed, just as the Lord God of Israel commanded. And Joshua struck them from Kadesh Barnea as far as Gaza, and all the country of Goshen as far as Gibeon. And Joshua captured all the kings of the land at one time, because the Lord of Israel fought for Israel. Then Joshua returned, and all Israel with him, to Camp Gilgal, conquest in northern Canaan. When Jabin, king of Hazar, heard this, he sent up to Jabab, king of Madon, and to the king of Shimron, and to the king of Achishaph, to the kings who were in the northern hill country, in the Arabah, south of Kinnereth, and in the lowland, and in the Naphathor on the west, to the Canaanites, in the east and the west, the Amorites, Hittites, Perizzites, Jebusites,